Hello, but I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another esports news episode. We have now officially revamped. This is going to be our first ever episode on the channel in our new style, which will be individual esports news. This, of course, is going to be a CSGO news episode. As you guys probably saw in the thumbnail, we're going to actually do this new format. So for all of you guys who came before, maybe you're a new viewer, maybe you're an old viewer. If you guys are an old viewer, we actually had these longer videos. We'd cover 6 esports in one episode, and it got kind of tedious for all of you guys who are here for individual esports. So from now on, guys, our new thumbnails, our new titles, and our new video format will be individual esports. So for this episode, it'll only be CSGO. We'll have a few other episodes out today, and that way you guys can come back for some shorter videos about the esports you truly do care about. So as always, we hope you guys all enjoy, especially this episode of CSGO News being our first episode of the revamp itself, and we'll see you guys back here later today if you are interested in other news episodes as well as tomorrow. And again, throughout from now and until the end of whatever it might be, it's going to be daily esports news on this channel. We hope you guys all enjoy it. As always, thank you all for the great comments, the great feedback, especially before we left earlier this week. We of course missed these first few days. We were actually at an esports business conference. You guys continue to watch our videos, like our videos, and thank you all so much. And so for all of you CSGO news fans out there, welcome back to our first revamped episode. We have so much news to catch up on across all of our esports. The first episode, of course, being CSGO. Let's talk about Doc, the up-and-comer, 18 years old, of course, just turned that age earlier last month or a couple months ago. He apparently cannot compete in the new ESL tournament. It's going to be ESL Proximus because of a kind of a rare change. They actually changed their qualification servers. Originally going to be ESL servers, now going to be ESEA servers, and unfortunately enough, after talking to Doc, and also you look at his ESEA ban from nearly a year ago, it's almost up. It was a malicious activity ban. Not going to go into details about that. Of course, that ban does expire in about less than a month, or just less than a month. Unfortunately enough, though, because of qualification times, he can now not compete because they changed their servers, and with that ban, there's no way to bypass that, even though it wasn't a ban because of, it was apparently an in-game chat ban, a malicious ban. It wasn't cheating of any sort. Unfortunately enough, though, he cannot bypass that. He was going to play with Scream, Malik, other Belgians on that Epsilon Belgian team, and unfortunately enough, he cannot compete. He will be replaced on that roster for the time being until that, of course, that ban does expire. It's very unfortunate. I'd love to see those guys kind of play together as they have a bit in the past few weeks. So again, he's not banned in CSGO, only banned on ESEA servers. Nothing to be too worried about. But also, speaking of Scream, guys, some big news out there. He's currently still playing for Fnatic. It should not be a prolonged thing. Expected to be changed out sometime soon. Of course, there's many G2 rumors out there. We're very much hoping he might be alongside Kiyoshima joining that roster if what Ocelot, their owner, did say was true. He was very disappointed in the results they've had so far, and changes should be expected for that roster. But it will be Scream for the time being. So far throughout week 1 of ESL Pro League, he actually stood in for that Fnatic roster. They split a series with Heroic, so not really, you can't really take too much away from that. But also on top of that, some big community news. I think a lot of you guys are going to be oddly happy about this. It was very much expected after the major that Draken was allegedly the issue. It's apparently been proven to be so. It's actually Draken leaving that roster, and as expected, Red Reserve let this man go a couple weeks ago, actually nearly a month ago. That will be Twist. We'll see where that Red Reserve roster goes without their best player, Twist, and he now rejoins this Fnatic roster for the second time in his history, and I cannot wait to see how they do. Again, you really can't take too much from their first matches against Heroic and ESL Pro League in general being an online league, but very cool to see where these guys do go. Now, also, speaking of Academy teams out there, some big announcements for several Academy teams, one of them also being Fnatic Academy officially releasing their roster. And why this is actually big news, because we also have another big clan announcement we'll talk about in a minute here. But can Fnatic Academy, or can any Academy team really survive, especially considering if you look back at all time, the most Academy teams, I think Academy teams have been a big thing for about the past 2, maybe 3 years. And Fnatic Academy, the original roster, not this one we're talking about, was one of the more successful ones in terms of prize pool winnings, and even they could not survive. You actually take this new Fnatic Academy roster, which was just released. They were actually the winner of the GamerZ show. If you guys remember, I used to call it the GamerZ show. It still goes on Twitch, I believe, seasonally. I think season 3 should be coming up here at least sometime in the near future, and that was actually the roster that was signed by them. They initially signed them for 3 months. They extended that contract to 5 months, and then they actually missed out on an MDL by 1 matchup. If you guys do remember, it was actually Virtus Pro and Fnatic Academy. This roster that was just released went to the last chance qualifier, the last chance match in a best of 3. The winner got their spot in Mountain Dew League. The loser went home, and unfortunately enough, guys, I don't say unfortunately enough, but it was a close map one. Unfortunately enough, though, for Fnatic Academy, it was Virtus Pro taking them out, and that might have been the reason why they did not get re-signed this time around. And it really begs the question, can Academy teams in CSGO really survive? You look at other esports out there like League of Legends or Overwatch with their Contender Series, these Academy teams really almost thrive in a new setting like this. And can there be an environment in CSGO where we actually nurture these Academy teams? It seems not likely right now. When you go back to maybe an Epsilon was a really big build team for teams like Heroic or other Swedish teams as well for a short period of time, but even that wasn't even an Academy team. But you see Overwatch Overwatch League or League of Legends, these guys are really being really being nurtured and cultured into being a top tier pro. It doesn't happen in CSGO. We only see main rosters. So can they survive in this current time? I don't think so. And so that's why it's really big shocking news to actually hear Big Clan, powered by Omen. They've actually announced their brand new academy roster. And you're not going to recognize any of those names on screen, but we'll see how they do, because they are definitely trying to nurture the new talent here. And again, like I said previously, can it actually happen? Maybe they can prove us wrong. And also, very lastly in CSGO news, probably my top stories, my favorite stories to talk about, of course, that's going to be Steel's team. I know I always say Steel's team. I feel bad. I love the other guys on the team as well, Sabrosa being one of them. Definitely a big fan of those guys over there, and especially what they've done over the past few months with Steel being a part of that lineup there. Of course, in ESL Pro League, they stun everyone. They actually 2-0 sweep MIBR in the opening matches of ESL Pro League just a couple nights ago, and they do so because it was not only a big victory for them, MIBR coming off a pretty big major run. On top of that, though, they do so with a brand new member, as expected, though. They've been playing with this guy for a bit. No one knows his exact age, obviously old enough to be qualified for Pro League this time around. That will be Neptune, his second attempt at ESL Pro League. The brand new Ghost Gaming member, guys, of course, replacing Krystal on that lineup. I cannot wait to see how these guys do in ESL Pro League, but off to a very, very strong start. And again, I cannot wait to see where these guys go. And we always pray for the unban of Steel and those kind of iBuyPower players as well in the future. Now, speaking of Krystal, for our very last story out there, guys, Krystal will be officially joining for ECS as well as ESL Pro League, that Rogue Gaming roster in place of Cadian. Now, the only problem I see with this currently right now, if you guys have identified that roster, I know Hiko maybe way back in the day was that secondary, that opper kind of guy, but as of right now, Krystal taking Cadian's place. Cadian was that IGL and that primary opping role. Krystal, of course, the most needed role on the team being IGL. They still have no primary opper. I'm not sure who's going to take those reins. Will it be Hiko? I would say likely, but again, I don't know that team chemistry right now. We're going to see how they compete so far in ESL Pro League as well as ECS with their newest member, Krystal, who is apparently voted in over FNS. So for all of you guys who wanted to know the options out there, apparently it was Cloud9 standing FNS or Krystal, and apparently the team had a vote. The vote was actually split by the team and chosen by the coach himself. So we'll see exactly where that roster does go in the future, guys. And that's going to do it for today's episode of CSGO News. I hope you guys all enjoy. Again, if you want to stop by later this afternoon, I think we have Overwatch news, Fortnite news coming out today as well. And then later tomorrow as well, we have Rocket League and Dota news for all of you guys who are interested in that. But as always, I hope you guys all enjoy. I will see you back here later today if you want to stop by. And thank you all very much for watching. As always, my name is Jake. I'll see you later. I'll see you there.